Hello and welcome to the TT Podcast, the podcast where we talk to one person from the world of the TT to discuss their lives, their journeys and their ambitions with the greatest motorsporting event in the world. As ever, sat opposite me, it's like looking in a mirror, Steve Plater. How you doing, mate?
I'm clean shaven. What do you mean mirror?
Paying you a compliment, I'm saying, or am I paying myself a compliment? I don't know.
I'm very good, thank you.
What's been going down? Give me some goss from the world of Plater's Paradise.
Been flat out, mate. I've been
if I got £1 for every time you said you were flat out.
buzzing around, playing at
team.
trials, riding on classic on my Bantam.
Yeah.
Done a piston, wasn't great. Been down to the RAC Club for a presentation for the Birchall Brothers Seagrave Trophy, and we've got Alton Park BSB coming up, which is just around the corner from when we're recording this. So yeah, it's busy time at the moment and very close to the end of the season. 4 weeks, the BSB season's finished.
Really, this is the only way that our TT fans can get a TT fix right now, isn't it?
Massively, yeah. The good thing is, all of the teams are deep in conversation about next year, who's going where, who's doing what, who's riding for who. Not just BSB, but obviously the road racing as well. So,
have you got any gossip? Do we know where Michael Dunlop's going to be placing his bum next year?
I've got a good idea what he'll be doing, but it's only me surmising and guessing, so I wouldn't say that. But there's various other people that are thinking about chopping and changing, doing slightly different things, running different bikes, especially on the supersport side, because it's all changing within the rules. But yeah, for me, we need a one-make series for road racing.
All right, just before we get into this podcast, if you could have any bike in this one-make series, what would you have?
I would already have been trying to talk BMW into using the F900R.
Would you?
That we used in the Cup of British Championship, yeah. Yeah, 105 horsepower, lightish bikes, exactly the same spec. You could just turn the key and go.
Are you talking to me here or Paul Phillips?
50 bikes. It would be great. Manufacturer backed.
Paul, don't listen to the podcast. You're not going to get it. But you've ticked off your BMW corporate sponsorship deals for this episode of the TT podcast. Right, who are we getting on this week?
Oh dear, I don't know. We've had most of the decent people. Who can we have?
The dregs. I think that's what they call it, isn't it? We're only saying that because she's sat here behind us.
She's sat here watching.
It is Maria Costello MBE. Are you excited to get her on?
Actually, yeah. Brave lady. 2 wheels and 3. So I'll try my best to behave.
Brave for sitting here or brave for being out on a bike? Right, roll those titles and let's get Maria on. Maria Costello, MBE. Welcome to the TT Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. The only person to try and sell their wares during a podcast as well, if you're watching this.
I thought everybody did it.
Not everybody's got... Have you got a book, Steve Plater?
No.
He didn't write one.
You have to tell the truth.
True. Yeah, I'd love to read that.
Well, some people tell the truth.
For those listening out there, Maria, you've brought your hardback.
Do you want to know why I brought my book? It's because I've had quite a long career and my memory is shocking, and I was thinking I might have to leaf through it to remind myself.
Well, let me remind you of some of the stats. In fact, let me ask you. Let me quiz you on yourself. TT debut.
TT?
Yeah, when was it?
2002. Was it?
Yeah. In the production race, you finished 49th.
That can't be right. That wasn't my debut. Because I got knocked off.
I'm telling you. Are you saying Phil Wayne's wrong?
You got knocked off?
Yeah.
What happened?
I got clipped at the bottom of Bray Hill.
Did you?
Yeah, that was
I know we're very slow then.
Bloody hell.
It was when you were set off in pairs.
Oh, really?
In
practice? Or
practice.
Wow.
So I riled up somebody's fence and ended up in Nobles Hospital. The old Nobles Hospital as well, because I am that old. Yeah. And my mum was... It was awful for my mum.
You started racing before Michael Rudd, didn't you? Is that right?
I'm not sure I want to do this podcast for you two.
Stop.
Painful already.
Stop being mean.
I thought that was true.
No. Maria, how many solo starts?
I couldn't tell
30.
you. At least. There's
24.
more than that. Now. There's more than that
There
now.
isn't. 6 sidecar starts, 4 sidecar finishers, fastest sidecar lap of 103, the only female ever to take part in a solo and a sidecar race.
Proud of that.
So you should be. And one of the few people in this room that's got an MBE. I mean,
Thank you very much.
You know, there's some that should have one, Steve Plater, but congratulations on your MBE.
Thank you.
As a fan of the TT podcast, before we get into the first question, what's your favourite episode of the TT podcast?
Cam Donald.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is where I try and catch people out for not listening.
So Shane said that because I wasn't there.
Yeah, you weren't there. Anyone that Steve Plater wasn't involved
That's
in.
why I picked that. No, Cam's top bloke, isn't he?
We
Top
love Cam.
bloke.
We absolutely love Cam. So you did hear the TT podcast.
I did.
So you do know what question is coming. I'll ask it. And it'll be interesting to get your point of view because there's two different ways you've approached no man's land. No person's land, I guess we should call it for today. No ladies' land.
I'm not sure where to go.
A point being, once you get into no man's land, whether you're in the sidecar or on the sidecar or on the bike, you grab the starter grabs you by the shoulder. You're waiting for that tap on the shoulder. What feelings, what sensations are we going through at that point between no man's land and then getting that flag drop?
Well, that's the moment of just pure focus, isn't it? Because depending on where you're starting on the road, I have experience starting, way back, and you're having to, back in the day, you'd be starting 60 odd, and that line of bikes, and you're gradually moving towards it, and then you go into the no man's land.
Does that seem to take forever? Sat there queuing, waiting.
Well, the difference is that when you're not starting there, it's very different. So then the classic TT starting 6th, suddenly I had to prepare you have to prepare differently. You have to be ready for starting a lot sooner. Yeah. I mean, obviously starting 60 off, that was way back at the start of my career, but that's the difference. And yeah, you have to be prepared earlier for that tap on the shoulder and setting off.
So regardless of where you're starting in the starting list, you still have to roll through no man's land like everybody else does, whether it's number 1 or number 99. Like you say, there's pure focus. Have the nerves dropped by then? Are you not thinking about everything that you've just left behind? Your sole focus is boom. Yeah. Nerves totally gone?
Nerves haven't totally gone until you set off. I think, yeah, it does feel like you're in no man's land. You're on your own, but you're about to be on your own anyway, racing the course. I quite like that moment. Yeah. It's all preparation. It's all thought turned to what you're about to do.
What? Go on.
It was a little bit like that on the dance floor at Goodwood Revival last week. Nobody wanted to be anywhere near you.
There we go.
They couldn't get anywhere near me because the afro I was wearing was so massive, and that was the point. Keep you lot away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, this podcast could take any turn at any point. Here's me trying to have a serious conversation about emotion.
Trying to dance,
that was a joke.
Bad.
No, I would love to see Steve dance.
It was. I mean, it was an attempt.
Is it dad dancing or?
Exactly.
Is it?
Brogy actually sent me a complimentary clip on his phone.
Get that in the WhatsApp group, please.
Anyway, back to sorry, Maria.
Emotion, sensations.
It's
the
all,
fact that you're about to,
everything zooms in on you. It's that, but it's almost like a moment of calm as well.
And does it feel? Sorry, but does it feel the same 2 wheels and 3 wheels?
No, it's different.
Is it?
It's different at the moment because on the sidecar, I'm still learning. I've still got. It's like perhaps a bit more excitement because it's still new. It's still new compared to 2 wheels.
Yeah.
So when I'm on 2 wheels, it's expectation. I know what I should be doing, what I want to do, what I want to achieve. Whereas on the sidecar, I kind of I'm still letting it come and letting it happen and building and learning. And so sidecar for me, sidecar racing there, it's like Christmas morning when I get on my sidecar. It's brilliant. Best feeling ever, especially the first ever one I did. Because loads of people, like all the mechanics and mates and people in the paddock, they all came to watch me set off on the sidecar because they were like, is she really doing this? And there I was on my sidecar.
It must feel nice to do that, to have all that experience and all that wealth of knowledge, but go into it in a completely different frame of mind, a completely different situation, learning, not having to learn the track, just learning solely the sidecar.
Learning it differently, but yes. No, I'm like I'm the luckiest woman on the planet getting to do
This podcast.
solos, classic racing, and now sidecars.
Yeah.
It's special.
So come on then, let's go all the way back to the start of the career. Crack the book open. Motorcycles, when did they become part of your life?
I had a terrible
Post World War II, probably.
black and white photos, blah, blah, blah. I was 19.
Yeah.
I had a Honda Melody to get me to work on. I was a trainee veterinary nurse and I wanted my independence because my dad used to take me to work. So I got one of those, and it was horrific because you could only do 50 miles an hour. You're travelling on in the gutter and being, nearly wiped out by all the traffic that comes past. And I was forever running out of brakes on that thing because I used to...
A Honda Melody is a little scooter, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's just
horrible
nothing
thing
more than
with
a
the
scooter.
top box
Yeah.
on the back and everything.
So motorcycles weren't part of your life prior to that?
No.
There was no family history?
No, absolutely not. I don't really class that as a motorbike. I didn't.
No, it's
but
not really,
I like
is it?
the independence and even that tiny bit of speed, if you can call it that. And but the vets were really keen for me. They're like, "Why don't you get a car?" I started my car lessons. I did fail 3 times.
Really?
I think I
Did
was
you?
rushed 2 or 3 times anyway. It was
Yeah.
that long ago. But friends of the family were round for Christmas. Their son had a motorbike. I quite fancied their son. He took me around the bike shops. Ultimately, I fell in love with the Yamaha TZR 125, and that felt fast.
As you
And
would, yeah.
there was a group of lads that used to meet in my village. I think my sister instigated it. They called for me one day. They de-restricted my 125, and that was it. My family had never seen me. I was out on my motorbike all the time and got absolutely addicted. Loved it.
So what was the first intro into racing?
So then on my way to work, I got knocked off my bike. Actually in my village as my mum was walking down the street, which was really awful. Can you imagine?
dear.
She was off to the post office. Anyway, broken pelvis, but a compensation check later, I bought a race bike. To my mum's horror, she was thinking it was the end. All those lads that I used to ride, of an evening with, they all came round with magazines. Were going, "What are you going to buy? What are you going to buy with your money?" And I ended up with quite a big compensation check at the time. And really that set me up, that set up my career. I bought an RGV 250 on the road, and I bought an RGV 250 race bike with lots of spares because I needed them because I did a lot of crashing. But absolutely best thing ever. And I was never competitive at school. I remember them putting me in a cross-country race because I liked that. But as soon as I had to do competition like that, I didn't enjoy it. I went
really?
slower purposely so I didn't get picked again. But I don't know, motorbikes, it was something different.
So prior to the crash, were you thinking, "Oh, I might go and race"?
Nope.
Or
No, but I was still qualifying as a veterinary nurse. Then when I qualified, I swapped jobs and worked in the local bike shop. Yeah, I used to go in there every weekend, really social, met loads of people. It was brilliant time for motorcycling then. And I remember just asking the boss if he had any jobs, and they needed a sales assistant, and that's what I became.
don't tell me you enjoyed it.
Loved it.
Because it's all good and well. I used to work in a motorbike shop, and it was all good and well. The riders riding up on their bike and having fun and having their cups of tea and hanging out and having a chat with you, but not when you were working there Saturday, Sunday, every day God sent you. And
I must have had
hated
the odd weekend off though, because I used to go and watch racing.
yeah,
Go to the local race meets. And then there was a couple of lads, we were going to get a race bike together. They got girlfriends, but they introduced me to their friend Dave Weston, who was a brilliant 250 racer, and he became my mentor. And I used to park up next to him, and he used to help me with, bits and bobs. Taught me how to strip my bike, and I did a bit more mechanics then.
but why though? If you've got no ambition to be competitive,
But I was as soon as I started racing.
but it wasn't until you started racing that it became competitive. What made you go, "I'll give it a go"? Is it because you wanted to go faster and faster on your bike, and the only way to do it was on the racetrack, or?
So I went and did a track day at Mallory Park, 'cause that's my local track, on my RGV.
Yeah.
And the instructor took me around. I spent a lot of time with. I was like, right, I want to learn this. I want to get my knee down and all that. But he turned around to me and went, "Oh, have you thought about racing?" And I think that was it.
Really?
That and the fact that I saw Sandra Barnett race,
Yeah.
that was a big, flicking of a switch moment and going, yeah, girls can do this.
Yeah.
And that was me.
She raced TT, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a team with her. That's what took me to the Isle of Man.
Well, we'll get to that point.
So what?
There's a
So
lot
you
to go
decided
through,
you left
though.
the veterinary
Yeah.
work and started working. How did the family take that? How was your parents and your
not happy.
your sister, and what was their opinion? Was it just
Not happy. Not happy.
Surprised.
At least I was earning money though, because then further down the line, Dad used to question my work and go, "What are you doing now then?" You know, because I was doing picking up bikes for Motorcycle News because they were based in Kettering and stuff like that, and he'd be like, "Well, that's not a proper job, is it?" And he didn't get the racing.
Yep.
They didn't really come. Oh, well, I banned them at first because they were a barrier to my racing initially. They didn't understand
You
it,
sound
petrified
proper
of it.
as a younger person, didn't she?
Yeah.
Ban the parents from
Yeah.
what?
We fell out. We
And
fell
were you
out
living at
about
home?
it. Yeah. I probably moved out quite soon after.
But it
Oh,
doesn't.
really?
But then they turned up. I remember my mate, Steve Britt, was helping me mechanic, and I was in the back of this budget renter van because that's who used to sponsor me. And he went, "I think this is your mum and dad." And I went, "Don't be stupid." And they appeared. My dad was as shocked because I was using spanners and changing a sprocket. And my mum very quickly wanted to go back to the car because she was terrified and didn't really want to watch. But Dad got hooked on it then, and he used to come and watch with my uncle. But I'd get home and then I'd be forever waiting for him to say about me, about my races. But he'd be going, "Oh, Dave Weston won all his races and so." And I'd be like, "And me, Dad, and me, and me." And my dad is old school, old fashioned, would never really show any proudness like that. So it never happened. Didn't happen. It took until I got an MBE. That's why that was so special for me.
Oh, I bet. But surely you would have been proud.
Yes, you
just
never showed
You
it.
just can't. Yeah. Show feelings, no chance.
That was it. Oh, I used to get told off for crying.
Oh, did you?
By my dad. It was I guess that's what it was. It wasn't. You weren't allowed to show your emotions.
What a strange introduction to racing. 9 times out of 10, it runs in the family, and you get an interest early on. You go and watch racing, and you kind of just fall into it because you've seen other people do it. But to start on a Honda Melody, going off to your veterinary school, and to,
My job.
your
That was a
job,
proper job
Picturing
then.
the scene
your
now.
job, the Honda Melody.
Oh no, I've got photos and he's burning.
Wait, are they in the book?
Don't tell me you had an open face helmet as well.
No, I never.
All right.
You wouldn't. But I had a really cheap Centurion thing that probably would have split in half if it hit the floor.
Centurion 2000.
I
had
remember
one of
somebody
them.
taking the mickey out of me though, and and then I saved up. And what did I buy? An Arai, and I've worn them ever since.
Fair play.
Never put anything else on your head.
Nope.
Not that there aren't other good helmet makes, but RI seems to do the job. First race, Mallory Park.
Yep.
Remember it well?
Yep. I do actually,
How did it go?
because my bike hadn't been painted yet, so it was bright yellow still. And I had Dave Weston there giving me good advice, but I also had my mates Neil and Nick. And Neil was the last one I spoke to, and I went, "Oh, what do I do at the start?" And he went, "Rev it and dump the clutch." And that's obviously what stuck in my head. And somebody has got a video. Probably is. No, it's not black and white, because you could see this little yellow bike do this stand-up wheelie off the start. Everyone's into Gerrard's, and I'm still working out how to set off.
Oh my god!
Oof, I could have killed him. What a
But once the front wheel came down and you set off,
Yeah, I
you
did
were
all
at one.
right.
You
Did
enjoyed
all
it.
right.
You loved
Oh,
it. You were bitten.
Instantly in love with motorbike racing.
And that was it.
Was.
And we're still here now racing.
Yeah.
So take us through the progression then.
Ooh.
RGV 250. We've got plenty of time.
Have we?
Yeah.
We're going to be here a long time.
Good.
Yeah, no, that RGV was brilliant. Best thing ever. What a fantastic little bike.
Don't think I've ever ridden one.
Well, you're missing out. I mean, it felt
No.
big at the time, but they're not. They're tiny.
Yeah.
Anyway, great races. I did loads of stuff at Mallory Park. I did all my first track day, my first race, my first win, my first broken bone, all of it there, because it was just down the road. But then, so after that win, Sandra Barnett and her husband, Peter, approached me and were like, we're going to put together an all-female team. Do you want to be in it? And that was like getting a MotoGP ride.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was like, wow. And I was going to be on a CBR 600, so I was moving from 2-stroke to 4-stroke, bigger bike, and it all felt amazing.
And was Sandra Barnett your hero at the time? Obviously being female.
She was. She was. Do you know, we still exchange the odd message. Yeah. And so they approached me, and that was all happening. And they had a big launch party, and my parents came. And I hadn't told my mum about the Manx Grand Prix bit. Because when I started racing, the one thing she said was, you're not going to go to that Isle of Man place, are you? Because she'd only ever read, you know, all that scary, controversial stuff that gets printed. Anyway, so that got announced by Pete, like, oh, Sandra's going to do the TT and Bridget and Maria are going to do the Manx Grand Prix. And my mum walked out.
Oh.
Yeah. But it was a bit like when I went to get my TZR125 and she had to sign the finance document. She walked out then because she thought I was getting another scooter. So I put my mum through a lot.
So prior to getting involved in this team, there was no intention of racing at the TT. Was it on your radar at all?
It was on my radar.
Oh, was it?
Steve Hislop was my hero.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I already had posters of him on my wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we all?
Yeah. So that it was in my mind. Not that I ever thought about doing it. I never thought I'd be at the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
No.
But just you knew about it and you wanted to go and watch the racing.
Yeah. And then suddenly, you know, chatting to Sandra and Peter, and it was becoming more and more real. Scarily real.
So what year did you start? What was your first race?
So TT, so I did the Manx in 96.
Your Mallory Park, your first race, sorry.
95.
95, yeah.
So that was very quickly going to road racing. It's not something...
That was the point. So you progressed really quick and kind of, fair play.
In at the deep end, really. It's not something you go, oh, yeah, do a year of racing and then go to the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, would you?
No, not unless you were set on... Again, you had a family history of racing at the TT and you knew all the history of the TT and you know, that's where you wanted your career to go.
I went to that TT, the 96 TTs. That was David Jeffrey's first one.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend at the time was racing. And I've recently been to Ian Simpson's book thing that happened recently.
Yeah.
And he talks about it because it ruined his race.
What, you been there?
No. My boyfriend crashed in front of him. And I always remember thinking, why was Ian starting behind him? But he was taking a ride for Mike Edwards for V&M.
Yeah.
So that's why he had that rubbish start number. And Chris crashed at Greba Bridge. Really bad. And I remember running back into the paddock, unhitching the trailer because it was a bike trailer, and driving to Nobles and having to like help pin him down because he had a head injury and compound femur and honestly, and it hadn't been the easiest TT. It hadn't. The only good bit was that...
Was this during Pratt's or race?
Race.
Yeah, so you got...
That was his second... He'd already come off in the first race on his 600. It was not good. He was there as a MCN journalist. And like I say, the only good bit was that we'd been out for dinner with Steve Hislop and Kelly at the time, and with him being my hero, that was like the best bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's in hospital and I'm wondering what to do. And Hislop was the first one there, you know. And he came and he was like, right, what are you going to do, Maria? Are you staying on the island? I went, yes, I need to. I've got to work that out. He went, right, come and stay with us.
Cool.
And he put me up and he'd make my tea and we'd sit and have a beer. And
Fair play.
so obviously there's all that bad stuff going on in the hospital, but I was also
Selfishly, you were
like the best time sitting with my hero. He had all his memorabilia up in the loft, and we just sat there going through old programs, and he had his trophies holding open the loo toilet door, and I was like, I think I did like phone my friend and went, oh my God, I'm staying with Steve Hislop.
Not many people get to do that.
And I was like, I'm not coming back here. This has been
That was going to be my
hell.
question. Is that not enough to put you off ever thinking about riding it?
But something changed. I changed my mind and I went and did the Manx Grand Prix.
Well, did it change because... Did you feel some pressure from Sandra to go and do it?
No.
If I don't race the Manx, I won't be part of this team.
It's hard to remember all that time back, but I think wouldn't it be foolish to lose this opportunity?
Yeah.
Go and give it a go. I'm sure some people were advising me on that as well. Go and give it go and give it a try. See how you go. If I didn't like the first 3 laps, I could go home. I think we'd had that conversation with the team.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Always there.
If you're competent enough to race a bike and you learn that course, you can go there and you can safely navigate your way around that for a couple of weeks and then decide whether you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, 99.9% of the time, the moment a motorcyclist gets the Isle of Man TT to themselves, or the Manx, or the mountain course...
I'm totally addicted.
That's it. Yeah, you become addicted once you've had a go.
It is, isn't it? It's addictive.
So was it the same for you then? So you rock up to the Manx for the first time. How much preparation had you done? How much learning of the course had you done?
I had not done many laps with Sandra, but I'd done laps because I knew a lot of people in the paddock.
Yeah.
So I tell you, who helped me a lot, Eddie Roberts.
Did he?
Because I'd sit in the Pirelli awning and he'd go, right, tell me a lap. Tell me a lap.
Eddie was the chief of Pirelli then, yeah.
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 I'd talk a lap and he'd kind of test me on it and check me on it, and there was a lot of that going on, visualisation, whatever.
And you felt like when you got to the point of riding it, you knew it relatively well, or did it all go out the window?
That first lap, oh
Did you know
my
what was
word.
coming next?
I did, but it's different when you set off, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah.
And especially as Peter had made a big thing of us being an all-female team, and he wanted Bridget and I to set off first. And I was like, I don't want to do that, Pete. I want to follow somebody.
Yeah.
But we had to do that, so that made it a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
It was all about the PR, wasn't it? George Pilkington Race Team, that's what it was.
There you go. Free plug. The plug doesn't exist anymore. See, this is no comparison whatsoever, but if I'm standing in front of a camera and I've got some lines and I've learnt them, right, the moment they say action, they can just go out your brain.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. I can go, I forgot them, can I do it again? And they're like, yeah. With the TT, with the amount of pressure and the amount of stuff that you've got to remember, it's amazing that anybody can go on that first lap and go, oh yeah, I know this and I know that, and it doesn't just all go out of your brain.
It's a good comparison, but it's a bad comparison.
Yeah, I'm not trying to compare, but what I'm saying is it's amazing how many people don't forget and how many...
Do you want to know why we remember?
Because you have to.
Because we want to.
You want to and you have to.
Yeah.
Because of...
And it's how you approach it, you know. It's no...
Yeah.
You wouldn't say, I'm not going to drive to so-and-so because I've never driven there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Yeah.
You have to still keep a lot of safety in mind and go and learn.
Yeah.
But if it does, though, it could be the matter of life and death, essentially, isn't it?
But I think that's the joy of doing the Manx first off. It wasn't like jumping into a TT, was it? Like...
You could take your time, you could build
like David
up
Todd, and you know, I wasn't going to become the fastest newcomer ever. It was, you know, it was totally different in that respect.
Yeah. So you treated it with respect. You got up to your own speed.
Yeah.
You got addicted, and then that was it. The TT was beckoning.
I still love the place.
Who doesn't? I don't even ride there, and I love it.
And it's hurt me a few times, and I still love it.
We're going to take a moment. I found a nice break in the podcast. If you're wondering why this audio quality sounds slightly different, it's because I'm recording this after the episode. We had such a good time chatting with Maria that we couldn't really find a break in the podcast to stop. So part 2 will be out next week. And here's a little teaser from that episode.
The really wonderful thing is that my mum did go to the Isle of Man. She went over with a friend and did a lap of the TT course. And
Not pillion, though.
and she just said she had the most admiration for me.
That must have felt special.
Yes, because I'm a terrible daughter who put her through all this worry. Twice a year I'd go to the Isle of Man.
So if you want to hear the rest of that podcast, make sure you subscribe to wherever you're listening to your podcast, whether that's TT Plus, you're listening to it on the YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you leave us a little review as well, because Steve loves to read them. and let us know what guests you want on next on the podcast. But until next time, see you later, Steve. See you later, mate.